Okay, so today we're going to look at the scheduling chapter. So, scheduling, what's this about? Problem of scheduling is fairly universal. Contractors need to schedule workers and subcontractors to build a house as quickly as possible. Magazine needs to schedule writers, editors, photographers, typesetters, and others so that an issue can be completed on time. So, we use something called a diagraph. A diagraph is a graphical representation of a set of tasks in which tasks are represented with dots. Okay, sorry about that. A diagraph is a graphical representation of a set of tasks in which tasks are represented with dots called vertices, and arrows between vertices are used to show ordering. So this is very much like a graph, except our what we'd call an edges in a graph is called, well, arrows. We use arrows to show direction. So the diagraph below shows that task 1, notated T1 for compactness, needs to be completed before task 2. The number in parentheses after the is the time required for the task. So it's kind of like the weight, but it's on a vertex, instead of the edge or the arrow. That's how long we're going to sit at that spot before we go to the next spot. So let's look at this. So let's consider an auto shop that's converting a car from gas to electric. A number of steps are involved. Time estimated for each task is given. So we label our tasks, in this case 1 through 9, not necessarily in the order they will be completed. So we do things like remove the engine and the gas parts. That's going to take us a couple days. Steam clean the inside of the car, buy an electric motor and speed controller, and all these other tasks here. We have them to do. So what we're looking at is some tasks have to be completed before others. We can't put the new engine in before we take the old one out and clean it, where the engine was, not the engine itself. Yep, that's what it says here. There are some tasks, however, that can be worked on simultaneously by 2 different people, like constructing a battery racks and installing a motor. A complete diagram for a car conversion would look like this. And so you see each of the vertices represent the different tasks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then we have the time to complete them. So let's run through some definitions here. In scheduling jargon, the workers completing the task are called processors. Well, in this example, the processors are human. In some situations, the processors are computers, robots, or other machines. The finishing time is how long it'll take to complete all the tasks. The finishing time will depend upon the number of processors and the specific schedule. An optimal schedule is a schedule with the shortest possible finishing time. Idle time in the schedule when there are no tasks available for the processor to work on, so they sit idle. Critical time is the absolute minimum time to complete the job regardless of the number of processors working on the task. Critical time can be determined as the longest sequence of tasks in the diagram called the critical path. A priority list is a list of tasks given in order in which we desire them to be completed. The list processing algorithm turns a priority list into a schedule. So let's look at the list processing algorithm. On the diagram for priority list, circle all tasks that are ready, meaning that all prerequisite tasks have been completed. Assign to each available processor in order the first ready task. Mark the task as in progress, perhaps by putting a single line through the task. Move forward in time until a task is complete. Mark the task as completed, perhaps by crossing out the task. If any new tasks become ready, mark them as such and repeat until all tasks have been scheduled. So let's look at our diagraph here. This is the same diagraph as we had in example 1. And we have a priority list here. I'm going to rewrite this a little bit bigger. So the priority list is T1, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8, T2, and T9. So this is the order we'd like to finish the process in, but we may not be able to. So we're going to assume 2 processors here. And here's how we do this. Let's see if I can get room down here. So we have processor 1 and processor 2. Now, can be completed in the beginning. What are ready? Well, we have T1, so we circle it. We have T3, so we circle it. We have T4, so we circle it. And we have T5. All these tasks are ready to be completed. So what we do is we assign processor 1 the first available task, which is T1, and processor 2 the second available task. Now, T1 takes 2 days, T3 takes 2 days. So after 2 days, both these tasks are completed. Now again, T1 being completed, we can have T2. It's ready to go. We could do it. So we circle it to let it remind us that it's ready. Now, no other task can be ready except 4 and 5. So we assign task 4 to processor 1, task 5 to processor 2. Mark our lines to let us know that they've been assigned. Task 4 takes 1 day. That brings us to day 3, and it is complete. Task 5 is still going on. So let's look what happens here. Now, with task 4 complete, task 4 and task 3 and task 2. So we need task 2 still, and we can't get to task 6. So we have to do task 2 next, even though it's further down on the list. So we'll assign task 2 here. Okay. Now task 2 takes half a day. So that puts us at day 3.5, and still task 3 doesn't get finished till day 4. So task 2 is complete. Done. Now, does that free up any other tasks to be completed? Let's see. Not task 8. Can we complete task 7? Looks like it. So task 7 is available, and it looks like task 6 is available. So again, here we're going to complete task 6 since it's first in our list. It takes half a day. So again, we're at day 4. At day 4, task 6 finishes, and task 5 finishes. So let's see. Can we do task 7? We've already determined that we can do task 7. Can also do task 8. So circle it to let us know. And again, we have task, the first one to processor 1, task 7. The next one to processor 2, task 8. That takes half a day on both of those, so we're at day 4.5 for both. These are finished. That leaves task 9 now available. And we assign task 9 to processor 1, and processor 2 is now idle. Takes 1 day, so 5.5. 5.5 days. That's the finishing time. So that's how these work. And we're going to learn some other ways of doing this and some other things to do. But before we do that, we'll do another example here. Again, I like to make these a little bigger so I can see them. And this looks like task 1, task 2, task 3, task 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're doing them, and we wish to do them in numerical order. However, that's not going to work out. Guess we're going with 2 processors. So look here, task 1, 4, and 7 are ready. 1, 4, and 7. So task 1 is first on our list. We'll assign that to processor 1. Task 4 is the next available on our list, so we'll assign that to processor 2. Task 1 takes 10 days. Task 2 takes 4. So task 4 is done at day 9. Did that make anything else done? No, we still can't do task 5 here. So that leaves task 7 to processor 2. Task 7 takes 13 days, which is going to bring us all the way down to day 22. I think we can ignore that for a while. So now on day 10, task 1 is complete. Did it make anything else possible to be done? The answer there is yes. Task 2 is available. So we assign processor 1 task 2. That's going to take us to day 17. Task 2 is now complete. Now task 2 freed up task, no, task is not available. Task 5 is not. So he's sitting behind till day 22. Okay, once 7 is done, that frees up. I got this one and this one, so I can do task 5. And I've got this and this, so I can do task 8. So processor 1 gets task 5. Mark a line so we know it's been assigned. Processor gets task 8. Again, mark a line. We do this stuff with the lines and the axis so we can keep track. It can get kind of messy. That's also why I write it bigger, so I can see what's going on. Task 5 takes 5 days, so that's going to take us to day 27. Task 8, however, only takes 4 days. So task 8 is completed day 26. That's done. Looking at this, I can now do task 9. So I'm going to assign processor 2 task 9. That's going to take us to day 32. So we hit day 27, which makes task 5 complete. So task 5 is done, which frees up task 3 here. And task 4. Or 6, sorry. So 3 comes first. So task 3 is assigned to processor 1. Takes 4 days. That brings us to day 31. Task 3 is now done. That leaves task 6 for processor 1, which takes us to day 35. At day 32, task 9 is complete. There's nothing else for him to do. The process 2 gets to sit around for some time. At day 35, task 6 is complete. So our finishing time is 35 days. And that's how this works. So the 2 examples. Again, you have to be careful. It can get kind of messy if you're not careful. And you can get lost. And believe me, it happens. Okay, so let's look at something else here. What do we got? This is called the decreasing time algorithm. We're going to create a priority list by listing the tasks in order from longest completion time to shortest completion time. So we're going to create a priority list. So let's consider the scheduling problem represented by the diagraph below. Create a priority list using the decreasing time algorithm. Then use it to schedule for 2 processors. So, longest completion time to shortest. What's the longest completion time? I see a 7 here. Oh, I see a 10 here. And that's the longest, so T6. Okay, let's fill that in so we know that we've got it. Okay, now I see 2 7s. Traditionally, we'll go with the lower number first, the lower task number first. T3, and we have T10. Okay, do I have a 6? 1 6 here. Any more? Nope, so that is T1. Okay, I have 1 5. Do I have another 5? Nope. So then T5. I have 2 4s here and here. So we start with T4, then we go to T7. Okay, I have a 3, 3. I start with T2 and then T8. And then I have a T9 with 2, and that is all of them. So now I have my priority list. So let's schedule it with 2 processors. And let's go to red, so contrast. Okay, so what is available? I see T1 is available. T2 is available. T3 is available. And T4 is available. And it did say 2 processors. So we have processor 1, processor 2. So processor 1 gets task 3. And 3 is taking 7 days. Processor 2 gets task 1. And that takes 6 days. So after 6 days, task 1 is complete. Done. Now, it didn't allow us to do task 5 or any other task, so we go to what we already had. So we'll assign task 4, processor 2. Task 4 takes 4 days, so that'll bring us to day 10. So we're sitting at day 7. Task 3 is now done. And that did not make anything else available. So we'll assign task 2, which takes 3 days. So we're at 10 days. Task 2 is done. Task 4 is done. And we're at day 10. So what freed up? Okay, so looking at task 5 here, I need task 6. Looking at task 6 here, I can do task 6 now. Looking at task 7, I need task 6, so I can't do task 7. So the only thing available is task 6. I assign that to processor 1. That takes 10 days, so we're at day 20 here. In the meantime, processor 2 is idle. So after 10 days, 6 is done. Now, with 6 being done, I can do 5 and I can do 7. So we have 5 and we have 7. Assign task 5 to processor 1 and task 7 to processor 2. Task 5 takes 5 days, which brings us to day 25. Task 7 takes 4 days, which brings us to day 24. So after 4 days, task 7 is complete. Task 7 is complete. I can't do task 8. I can't do task 9. I can't do task 10. So again, processor 2 is idle till day 25. Now task 5 is done at day 25. So now I can do task 9. I can't do task 10, but I can do task 8. So assign 8 to processor 1 and 9 to processor 2. Task 8 takes 3 days. Task 9 takes 2 days. So after 2 days, task 9 is complete. I still can't do task 10. So again, he's idle for that day. This was 28. So we're at day 28. Task 8 is finished now. That finally I can get to task 10. So I assign task 10 to processor 1. It takes me 7 days. And that's day 35. Day 35, and he's idle. So this processor 2 seems to be sitting on his behind quite a bit. So that's how that worked. We developed the priority here. Then we used it to scale with 2 processors, and their finishing time was 35 days. Okay. Determine the priority list for the diagram from example 3, decreasing time algorithm. So let's go back to our black pen. So what's the longest time here? Looks like E7, 13. We got that. Okay, then it looks like T1 at 10. And then T4 at 9. Don't have any 8s, but I have a T2 with 7. Do I have any 6s? Yes, I have T9 at 6. Do I have any 5s? I have 1, T5. And I have a whole bunch of 4s. So T3 is the lowest one, then T6, and then T8. Got them all. So this is my priority list. Now let's work with 2 processors. Didn't say to do this. I think it says on the next page. No, it don't. Let's go ahead and do it anyways. Let's do this processors. P1 and P2. Practice is good. So right now, what's available? T1, T4, and T7. So we can assign T7 to processor 1 and T1 to processor 2. T7 takes 13 days. T1 takes 10. So at day 10, processor 2 is done. T1 is completed. So that makes T2 available. However, T4 is earlier in our process, so we'll assign T4. Takes 9 days, which brings us to day 19. So at day 13, T7 is finished. Now, that didn't free up anything, but we do have T2 available, so we'll go ahead and assign T2 here, and that will bring us to day 20. So T4 gets finished at day 19, and looking at this, it looks like we can do T8 and T5 now. Don't forget to keep track of things. So T5 looks like the next one to go. That would bring us to day 24. But at day 20, T2 is complete. And now I can do, nope, not T3. Nope, not T6. So I'm stuck with T8 here, which brings us also to day 24. On day 24, T5 and T8 are finished. And I think this makes everything else available. Yes. So 9, 3, and 6 are all available. Finish 2. So T9 would go to processor 1. T3 or T Yeah, T3. Go to processor 2. That's 4 days to 28. Past 9 is 6 to 30. So now at day 28, T3 is complete. That leaves T6, which takes 4 days to bring us to 32. And at day 30, when T9 is complete, well, processor 1 is idle. He gets 2 days off. And at day 32, done. Finishing time, 32 days. Okay, this next thing is 2 algorithms to find the critical path. And I'll be honest with you, this first one here, version 1, is very confusing, so I don't teach it. So we'll skip that page and we'll talk about a backflow algorithm, and then we'll talk about critical path algorithm 2. The backflow algorithm says to introduce an n vertex and assign it time 0, shown in brackets is down here, to every vertex that has an arrow to the end and assign it a critical time. From each of these vertices, move backwards and assign vertices critical times. Notice that the critical time for the earlier vertex will be that task time plus the critical time for the later vertex. So repeat until all vertices are labeled with critical times. So here's how this works. We create an end. We give it a time 0. Now we go back. I can go here. So this now has a critical time of 2. I can go here. This has a critical time of 7. And this has a critical time of 4. Now I can go from here to here. That gives this a critical time of 7. I can go from here to here. That gives me a critical time of 12. So we don't want to use that one. We want to use the largest time. Now I can go from here to here, which will give me a critical time of 10. And go from here to here, which will give me a critical time of 11. Okay, so now here I can go from here to here, which will give me a critical time of 18. But I can go from here to here. Oh, hold on a minute. Let's erase that. Because I can go from here to here, which will give me a critical time of 14. Going from here to here would give me a critical time of 21. Going up here would give me a critical time of 24. If I go from here to here, I get a critical time of 15. Again, we're looking for the longest time. So that 15 from here to here would give me 25, which is longer. So now I can go from here to here and get 28. And I can go from here to here and get 21. So let's look at this 28. I went here, 7, 17, or 10, 15, 25, 28. So that's the path. That's the critical path. Now, we did this backwards, but when creating the critical path for this, we want to go forward. So it's T2, T6, T5, T8, T10. And the critical time is 28. I guess we'll call them days. So essentially, we did the backflow algorithm. Then to create the critical path, apply the backflow algorithm. Then create the priority list by listing the task in order from longest critical time to shortest critical time. So there we go. So we start on this end and go that way. So let's determine the priority list for the diagram from example 3. First step, create the end is time 0. Now I can go to here, here, and here. So this is 4, this is 4, and this is 6. Okay, from T9 here, I can only go to T6. So that gives me a critical time of 10. From T6 here, I can go to T2, which gives me 11. Or for that matter, I can go T3 to T2, which also gives me 11. So now I can go from T3 to T5 and T6 to T5, which will give me a 9. So here I can go from T6 to T7, which would be 23. I can go T5 to T7, but that would only be 22. So that wouldn't help. I can get to T4 from T6, which would be 19. Or I can go from T5 to T4, which will only be 18, so that won't work. And lastly, I can go from T2 to T1, which gives me 21. So this is it. That's my path. T7, T6, T9. Okay, the last thing we're talking about, here's an example designed to show that critical path algorithm doesn't always work wonderfully. It didn't work too good the previous one, really. Schedule a task in the diagram below on 3 processors using the critical path algorithm. So we start here at end with 0. We go to here, T6. Now here's where the problem goes. Here's T8, here's T8, or time 8, and 9. So what happens is I have 3 different ways to do this. I can go T1, T6, T9, T1, T7, T9, or T1, T8, T9. And they all give us a critical time of 9. So that's why this don't work too well. So in most cases, the critical path algorithm, we can schedule on 3 processors. Well, here it is. Because what happens is the priority is any of these lists. These are the priorities on 3 processors. So let's see, P1, P2, P3. So since this is it, we assign task 1, task 2, and task 3 here. Or not, that's not right. Task 1, let's just do the top one, task 6 and task 9. Task 1 takes 1 day. Task 6 takes 2 days. And task 9 takes 6 days. So at day 1, we got task 1. Now it don't really matter. We can assign task 2 here. That'll bring us to day 2. At day 2, we have task 1, task 2, and task 6 completed. Actually, that's not how they did it, is it? Well, anyways, here's the 3 methods they used that took 9, or the way they did it to take 9. There is a flow, but it is very simple, so you should be all right. I believe there's some in the homework, so if you have any issues, just let me know and I'll help you with them. And that'll do it for tonight. You guys have a good day, and I will see you next time.